No, for those that are asking, I have no idea what the Burning Man is, son. It sounds like a condition that you would need penicillin for. I'm just saying, but no, I'm not. I don't know what the Burning Man is, but I appreciate all the comments on that. Hate to start out so random this morning, but yeah, I was getting a few of those questions yesterday. Hey, John, what are your thoughts on the Burning Man? Again, seriously, that's not a punchline or anything. I don't have any idea what that is. I've seen it in the news, but I'm not interested. So, anyway, welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you very much for watching, for listening, for subscribing to the channel. Truly appreciate it. I should be back in chat with you folks tomorrow. I've had some stuff to take care of to kind of get ready for winter, to go ahead and just get some things taken care of before fall even, but I'm focused on winter. We're going to talk about winter this morning because I'll tell you this, the economy is going to be really bad this winter. In fact, the economy is going to be on fire bad this winter, man. Burning Man. There's your little Burning Man puns, huh? So, speaking of winter, we did some predictive stuff yesterday, and the comments are what I thought they were. They were all over the place. Some people agreed, some people totally disagreed. That's fine. I totally get where you're coming from on most of those comments. Few of them were out there, but hey, I live out there if you know what I'm saying. So I said, let me go ahead and talk about five shortages this morning, kind of predictive shortages that I believe we're going to see this winter. Okay, because again, I may not get them all down pat here, all five of these, and then there's an honorable mention too. But if we're able to look at things now, we're able to predict even one shortage and be more prepared for it. In my opinion, this is a win. So going down the list from 5 to 1 because that's what YouTubers do, apparently. Number 5, food. Yes, food will be in short supply. But, and let me underline this, but this does not mean famine. All right. I don't know why people do this, and it's something that happens a lot in this community. When people think shortage, especially when it comes to food, it's either all or nothing. Like, it's the 2 extremes. Either you're expecting to go into a grocery store, everything is there, everything is reasonably, priced, or you're expecting to go in and there's nothing, man, it looks like Mad Max, it's a famine. No, I'm not sitting here saying that we're gonna have a famine this winter, okay? Meaning, you do not need to turn this video off now, rush out, clear the bank account out, and stack cans to the ceiling. You don't need to do it, especially if you've been prepping for a little while. All right. But we need to come to terms with reality. The world needs this much food, this much grain. The world has this much food and this much grain. And as we were talking yesterday, this is going to drive the prices up. This is going to, I think, introduce limited selection on certain items. And then you have to understand people are barely hanging on, as we've been talking about for several days now. So when people go into a grocery store in 2023, they're not looking at the brand names the same way they used to. Everybody's looking at store brand. This is something I'm noticing in grocery stores here. When we go in, the store brands are completely wiped. Anything that happened to be on sale for that week, if you do not get there early, it is gone, completely wiped out. There's still a lot of selection there, but these are all national brands that are sitting there, and you're gonna pay a premium on that kind of stuff. I mean, you just are. Pastas. are expected to take the biggest hit this winter. I've heard this several places now. I agree. I mean, it seems to make sense. Your cereals as well, but your pastas are supposed to take the biggest hit. Again, no need to rush out and clear out the bank account to buy dry pasta because look, let's be honest here. Most preppers that have been doing it for more than 6 months, we've got walls of pasta. I'll even throw egg noodles in there. They're not my favorite, but we got a lot of those too. We got pasta. You know what I'm saying? This is not something that there should be a shortfall on in your home right now as a prepper in 2023. So it shouldn't really matter if pastas are limited or not. You should have plenty of this stuff already, but just keep that in mind, okay? Other grains, meats, and dairies are expected to be in short supply this winter. This goes without saying, and of course, produce and stuff like this. The plant-based stuff, plentiful, it's everywhere. This stuff is growing like, weeds in my local grocery stores. But if you expect these shortages again, and you plan for them, which you should already be doing. I mean, honestly, folks, if there's going to be a food shortage this winter, this is like one of the primary things preppers are already or should already be prepping for anyway. Food should be in your top 2 or 3. I think it should be the numero uno myself, but some of y'all, I get it. You put water at number 1 or you put maybe ammo at number 1, for obvious reasons, and that's hard to argue against, in Joe's America, but I digress. The point is you should have plenty of food, and it should be a primary focus anyway. So it shouldn't matter if there's a global shortage of the stuff or not. I don't know that that global shortage is gonna last forever. I do think a lot of it hinges on the war in Ukraine. So it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon, but it shouldn't be a huge deal, is what I'm trying to say. So moving on to number 4. Again, this should be a no-brainer. I'm going to mention it anyway because there are people out there that maybe haven't made this connection. Over-the-counter cold and flu medications. One of the things that we hear, or at least I hear in this community over and over and over and over, and I tend to agree. The C-19 is just the flu, man. It's just a version of the flu. I've said that myself. It's a variation of the flu. The flu season's coming back around, so C-19 is coming back around. Okay, and again, totally agree with that. But if you know this, if you believe that it's a flu, it's a strain of the flu, and it's going to come back around, and it's going to be worse during flu season, and flu season's coming back, it always does. Why wouldn't you go ahead and be stacking over the counter meds? Because if this thing comes back, whether they run with this as a scare tactic or not, and it's treated just like the flu at home, there's going to be a run on over the counter medications. Things like Theraflu, NyQuil, Alka-Seltzer, blah blah blah. There's going to be a run on this stuff. And if you know that ahead of time and it's still plentiful right now, and it's not going to be plentiful during the middle of flu season, why would you not stack it now? As a prepper, I would think this is a huge advantage, okay? Because I just know these comments are coming the middle of flu season. People are going to say, "Oh man, I went out to get Theraflu. I couldn't find it anywhere. This stuff is dried up." Or there are hard limits in place. Well, they're not in place right now here. None of this stuff is dried up here right now. So if that's your situation and it's plentiful and you can afford to stack extra and flu season's coming and the C-19's coming back around like a boomerang, son, go ahead and stack stuff. Makes no sense not to. Number 3, fuel and heating oil. All right. Um, there's usually a small shortage anyway, or this seems to be the trend over the past few years. All right. There's a shortage on gasoline, there's a shortage on diesel, there's a shortage on, heating oil for the home, there's a shortage on propane, there's a shortage on this, on this. Again, we know that this shortage is coming back around, and it may be hard to kind of stack and prep for this one because the stuff costs a lot of money right now. It's not cheap. but it's not like it's getting cheaper this winter, you know what I'm saying? It's just gonna go up in price. So, if you can't afford to get what you can get, now is the time, because I think the uncertainty of war is gonna pull some of this away, you know? As NATO and specifically the United States gets more involved in Poland and in that entire region, the resources go with them. We're not just deploying soldiers and reservists to Poland, okay, and stacking people over there. We're stacking supplies too. A lot of the stuff that we have over there, it takes what? It takes fuel. It takes diesel. It takes stuff like this in order to operate. So that pulls from the civilian population, the amount that we have, the stockpile that we have, and even stuff like stacking wood and kerosene. If you heat your home with kerosene, try and have extra on hand now if you can afford to do it. Wood, I know a lot of you have already cut your cords of wood and stuff like this. Just make sure that you have enough because they are, by all accounts, expecting a harsh winter in plenty of the United States, much more so colder and stuff like this than they were last winter. Number two, electricity, man, because why not? Because the earth is dying. It's dying, son. Maybe that's what they talking about by burning, man. The earth is burning, man. I don't know. Um, I'm not saying I believe that. I don't think the world's turning into a fireball, but you know who I'm talking about with this, right? The we've and we watched our governments pivot because of this straw man that is climate change to everything electric. Well, we've got to make everything electric. That's the answer. We've got to make everything electric in order to save the planet. And now that they've, put people's arms behind their backs and they've kind of pushed their nose into a corner and they forced them into electric, now these same people are stepping back saying, you know what, man, we ain't got enough electric. This is a problem. We don't have enough electric. So promise you this winter, there's not going to be enough grid to go around. If if we end up getting the cold winter like they're forecasting, the Farmer's Almanac and all of this stuff, certain areas are going to see rolling blackouts. You're going to see power companies saying, "Hey, we're gonna have to turn the power off for 4 hours here, 4 hours here, 4 hours here. It's the only way we can make it work." Everybody's charging cars now. We've got all this stuff going on. I mean, it's a man-made issue, I think. It's, as we say here, a self-inflicted wound, and it's been done deliberately. I believe this is opinion on my part, but it doesn't change the fact that electricity is gonna be in short supply in certain regions, this winter. I'm gonna be watching Texas to see how their independent grid holds up, but also, they're just a handful of major grid systems across the United States. How are these gonna hold up? Is this gonna be the point where they step in and if you have one of these automated thermostats or remote controlled thermostats, are you gonna be locked out? This sort of thing. Just understand and prep accordingly. Prep for grid down, which is something that you should be doing anyway. You should, as a prepper, always anticipate that at any point in time, the grid may go down. All right. If the grid goes down as I'm filming this, what a travesty that would be, son. I'm just saying, if the grid goes down, I know in this drawer down here, I've got a small mag light. This small mag light leads me back into the house. All right, because this is kind of sitting off from the house a little bit. I know where the bigger flashlights are at. I grab those. I know exactly where the totes are sitting, and we're good to go at that point. So you should always have a plan for grid down and understand that this winter the grid being what it is, the global energy shortage crisis, self-inflicted crisis, whatever you want to call it, it's a real thing. And they're going to use that to their advantage. They're going to execute as much agenda as they possibly can on the back end of something that they cause. This is what they do. So, anyway, number two is electricity. Number one, this is going to sound crazy. There's going to be a shortage of sales and civility. Civility. It rolls off the tongue. It's a Rather big word for it to be this late at night. But what do I mean by this? Well, there's going to be a lack of sales around the Christmas slash holiday, whatever you choose to call it, shopping season, and maybe even Thanksgiving. But people are accustomed around the Christmas shopping season to seeing sales, seeing all these doorbusters, seeing all of these just mega sales that are going to pull you in and want you to shop and spend money. I just saw an article not even 20 minutes ago where big ticket purchases are way down for the year, 20 something percent. They're talking about appliances, washer and dryers, stoves, TVs, refrigerators, things like this. People just are not throwing down the kind of cash they were last year because they don't have it. But what you're going to notice with stores, I think, and part of the reason that I said yesterday, they're sitting around, they're hoping and praying with fingers crossed that they're going to have a huge, holiday shopping season. Part of the reason they're not going to is these stores now. Amazon may be a little different where they're online, their overhead's way down, but most of these stores, your Walmart brick and mortar, your Target brick and mortar, stuff like this, they've already lost too much money. They can't afford to run these doorbusters, to eat a bunch of money up front to get people into the door. So there's not going to be a lot of sales to attract people to the product that they're selling in the first place. And this is depressing at Christmas for a lot of people. Me, I think it's a welcome change. I think people need to focus on the true meaning of Christmas. So I'm cool with it, but I'm talking about your average American. Your average American is used to a certain amount of I don't know, a certain standard of living and certain traditions and things. And I think that that's going to be a shock to the system, if you will, this holiday, this Christmas shopping season. Not seeing a lot of sales is going to agitate people, right? It's going to throw people off. And I know that sounds like a first world problem, but it's true. People are going to be upset by this. And when people are upset, they look for other people to blame. So sales and civility, I think civility is going to start to go out the window. Now, in some places, it already has. Civility is way out the window. Here, people still treat each other with manners, usually in some form of civility, and everything is, you're riding that fine line. But I think as people can no longer afford to live up to the standard they're used to, and they're not seeing sales, or maybe they go into a store and there's not a lot of sales, and then the store is short staffed because nobody wants to work Christmas hours part-time, you know what I'm saying? There's already a labor shortage. I mean, the whole thing's a mess. And this is going to start to affect people mentally, as they're out. Places will still be busy. There will still be a lot of people Christmas shopping. They're just gonna be shopping with half of the budget, and they're gonna be upset by that, and they're not gonna be cool with people being on top of them in stores like they typically are and stuff like this. So, and I just wanna mention this as well. Of course, there's already a shortage of this. Common sense is the honorable mention. Common sense, you're gonna start to see it go even further out of the window as winter sets in, because flu season will make that comeback. We're already well on the way, right? And the N95s in the Golden Corrals, those are gonna make a comeback. I mean, you're just gonna see stupid stuff all over again. And I would expect no less from a society that hoarded toilet paper during a pandemic. I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments, folks. This is John with Prepper Nation. Thank y'all for being here this morning. Again, I should be back in chat with you fine folks tomorrow morning. Until then, y'all take care. God bless.